So for those who already don't know, I do not like Superman. However, I have been astutely covering Absolute Superman because I just want to see where this story goes exactly. And when I tell you book 3 is here, this could be a Superman that I like. This could be. Now, the first 2 issues of Superman, Absolute Superman, well, the first issue of Absolute Superman, I didn't too much care for because it was focusing on his parents. And it wasn't too much going on with him for me to care about him so much. So like in the other, like, so like in Absolute Wonder Woman, it's definitely focused on Wonder Woman and what happened and how her upbringing. And then of course Absolute Batman, it was focused on Bruce and his upbringing, like how that was different. So while I understand it's supposed to be the different story, with the other 2 being hyper focused on the main character, for this to be more focused on his parents in the first issue, I was like, I'm gonna wait to see what issue 2 does. Issue 2 was more focused on him, of course, but now issue 3 we have kind of a mix. So as per usual, like what we really know about the background of Superman is that he left Krypton when he was a baby because Krypton was dying. Well, Krypton is still dying, but he's not a baby. And we go here and we're basically getting the background of everything. So this one I did like, now that it's kind of just like, here's the information that you were looking for, which should have been like issues 1 and 2 and then get into issue like and have issue 2 be issue 3, but you know, that's just me. Anyway, so when Kal was little, he was very, very outspoken, very bright, and he had his own opinions about things, and he was not just blindly accepting what was being taught to him. And he basically considered himself a writer, and like the comment said there, you know, a journalist from the beginning. Absolutely 100% if you're going through the story. So he was always basically getting in trouble at school because he wasn't just regurgitating what they were being told by like their science council and like the heads of Krypton, because he didn't believe in any of that stuff. So when his parents got like this report that their son was basically going against 3,000 years of Kryptonian tradition, they were like, keep that shit up, son. And he's like really surprised because he thought, you know, that but come on now, your mother has been building things in the garage, your father has been working for the mines and kind of just has his own way of thinking about things. And of course, you know, if you pay attention to your parents, you know what they do and don't believe in. So of course he was surprised to know that they were perfectly fine with him being outspoken about these things. And you know, he was like, I have like this path in my head that, you know, what I'm destined for, and I know exactly where it's going to lead me. And then, you know, looking out at all of this area and this space, and Jor-El's just like, you know, I'll be right back. And Kal thinks that he said something wrong. He's like, no, you haven't said anything wrong. Actually, you said everything right. So he goes back to the mines, and there's like this green stuff that is leaking in the mines, and it's very obvious that it's kryptonite, but you know, I don't think that they exactly know that just yet. So he ended up going on a field trip, and they saw a lot of like destruction and things like that. And on top of, like, before that, Krypto took him to these dying animals that had like the green gas wrapped around them, and it was killing all of the animals. And the government was basically just like, oh, there's nothing to worry about, it's just gas leaks, it's nothing like unusual, you know, the lying that the government does. But Kal's not stupid. And he's just not blind to the fact that they're very clearly lying about these things. So while they are on a field trip, he actually witnesses his father being taken away by the police because they're basically calling him a heretic and like spewing heresy about them being in danger and that the government is lying. So, you know, things that government does. And he runs back home to his mom, and his mom is like, don't worry about it. I already know what's going on. I'm about to go rescue your father. I want you to come along with me for this. Mind you, Laura has this gun in her hand, and my girl looks like she means absolute 100% business. She's ready to fight, okay? And so she was like, I want you with me for this, but if it goes sideways, I want you to get on your bike and I want you to get back here, go into the garage and ask for Soul. And he's like, who is Soul? And if you remember from the first book, Soul is his suit. So she was like, you know, never mind that. Let's just get ready to go. So her, Krypto, and Kal go to where they're holding Jor-El, and they're like, oh, are you talking about the kid? Oh, we have charges for him too. And I'm sitting here like, I don't think y'all understand what's going on right now. So she busts in there with that gun of hers, which shoots lava, by the way. And she's screaming for her husband. She said, Krypto, find him. Bring him to me. And they're like, oh, it's just one assailant and her dog. And the guy who ended up getting shot was like, yeah, but her gun has lava. Lethal. Please kill her. And so they're battling away, but what you got is nothing compared to what she got, because my girl is a genius, okay? Weapons genius at that. And Krypto goes to help get Jor-El out of there, and he's like, where's Lara? And she's out there blowing everything up. And the Cal's like, hey, give me your login password and I'll tell my mom to stop shooting you with the lava. And so he logs on to the headquarters system and just starts typing away. And he's looking and he sees that they have been building starships. And he's like, they've never had any interest in starships, so what's going on? So he continues to do his research, as a journalist does. And meanwhile, Laura pulls up in this full mask bodysuit looking fire. The design, flawless. And he's like, well, it's safe to say the suit works. And she's like, oh yeah, it's time to go. So she gets him out, they all get out, and everybody's just quiet on the way home. And so they were trying to like find the words to basically tell their son that Krypton is dying, but he had already figured it out. And so while they're sitting there talking, he's looking on, I think it's called the Lumerium, which is like their news, and the report of the starships being created by the heads of the government to only carry the upper class has been released. And they figured out that it was released from headquarters, which is exactly what Kal did. And so they're also trying to find the words to say that, you know, we're leaving. But he was assuming that they were going to be staying behind. And they're like, he's like, I'm not leaving without you. And she was like, oh, sweetie, that's so sweet. We weren't leaving, we weren't shooting you into space or nothing like that. We're all leaving together. So in that garage, she's been building a spaceship of her own. And it's to carry their friends, family, neighbors off of Krypton, because they knew Krypton was dying as well. So, you know, they're trying to get that together. The writing for this is impeccable. Do you hear me? I really like this. And it's very interesting to see everybody's take on different things. And one of the things that has always bothered me about Superman's writing is that it's never consistent. It's always the same thing, but like the only thing that they've ever truly altered were his powers. His powers are never consistent. And then it's like, because his powers are never consistent, nobody knows how to write him as a character. And when they take him out of the normal element, it just seems like they're either trying too hard or not trying hard enough. Like, it's always bothered me about his writing. This writing is absolutely fabulous because you're covering the bases pretty much, altering the fact that he was a baby when he left Krypton to him being conscious enough to understand what the hell was going on when Krypton is dying is very interesting and very good writing. Now, do you let him leave with his parents or not? Is the question. Because with Absolute's Batman, his father did die. His father did get shot and killed at the zoo, but his mother's still alive. And then with Absolute Wonder Woman, her mother is alive, but she was raised by Cersei. So she wasn't raised with any of the Amazons. She was raised in hell with Cersei, but her mother's still alive. And she still has that whole background with Steve Trevor. So then here, do you let him leave with his parents and then his parents be killed later, like when they get to Earth, because you've drastically changed how this goes? Or do you kill his parents before he leaves Krypton? Because at the end of this, at one of the hospitals, Mrs. Kent is in the hospital. She has Alzheimer's and she's remembering, like she's calling for her angel, which would be Clark. And so she's like remembering Clark, but like from what point is she remembering Clark? You know what I mean? So it's just that gap right there. I really want him to leave Krypton with his parents and then his parents die later and then he be raised the rest of the way by the Kents. But who knows? Because he's 10. He's 10 years old. So it's like, And I'm interested to see how the rest of the Absolute team come, because Absolute Flash comes out in March. And I'm interested to see how that goes, because we'll be pretty deep into all three of these. We'll be pretty deep into the Trinity of DC by the time Absolute Flash, Absolute Green Lantern, Absolute Martian Manhunter come out. So it's like, so we're putting together the Absolute Justice League at this point. So, you know, I'm very interested in seeing where this goes. And I do like the writing for this. This is a unique take on Superman. This is a unique take on Superman. There are some takes that are like cool, but they mainly focus on his power. This is focusing on the story and the development of Kal-El into Clark Kent into Superman. Something that I like. But he's like, he looks to be a teenager already in the second issue, or the first issue, first and second issue. He looks to be like teenager, young adult. So it doesn't seem like he's been on Earth that long. You know what I mean? Am I tripping? I don't know. Well, of course we'll get more explanation. You know, tell me what you guys think about this, and it's in the book. Please do, because I would love it if you did. And that is it for the doctor's office, and I will see you guys at your next checkup.